I'm so lost. Where am I?
Hello and welcome to Heavy
Weight
Gaming. Come on, we're actually live, Rob.
Right, it doesn't work without 80s 3, 2, 1 like actually sounded off. It's weird having it written down. Hello, folks. Welcome to Heavyweight Gaming, and today it's arcane games because I am doing the DM thing for once, and 80's gonna sit down, relax, and do nothing until he needs to put us on break at 9:30. We're playing Masks today. It's a superhero thing, but before we go into any more detail of that, Mel's going to give you the Heavyweight Gaming spiel.
It has been delegated to me. Yay! So obviously you're here at Heavyweight Gaming on Twitch. We also have a Facebook page. We also have a Patreon where the wonderful Arcane writes us lots and lots and lots of stuff, which is very good. And you should go subscribe on Patreon, because it is very good, and you get an e-zine every single month, and it's great. It's full of lots of 5e classes, lots of races, lots of bits and bobs that mostly Rob writes, but also AD.
The last couple of issues have been mainly AD. I have just edited and added little bits and pieces.
Because I mean, World of Colossus as well, which is again where the Tuesday campaign and the Saturday Pathfinder campaign are in. We also have a YouTube. If you have missed any sessions for any of the stuff on Heavyweight, go over to YouTube. If you search Heavyweight Gaming on YouTube, you will find us. Obviously, we do have other streams as well. So Tuesdays we have D&D 5e. Don't know who plays in that. No idea. Wednesday is kind of our one-shot type nights. So we may be going next week as well for Masks. We have Carbon 2185 on Thursdays. We have a free night on Fridays. We have Saturdays, we have Pathfinder, and Sundays we have D&D 5e with the Dice and Beholder guys. So that's about it. We do have some wonderful sponsors around, but they do not sponsor tonight's stream, but we do have some great sponsors. They will pop up in chat as we go through. So that's about it. I will hand back to Rob.
I think there's a general standing order that Sawdust and Swearwords is probably gonna sponsor anything that isn't already sponsored.
Sawdust and Swearwords, Roughworks Creative. Sometimes Bardic Inspiration. They
like the idea that Bardic Inspiration doesn't sponsor this one. We've got both of them here, but they're like, what?
Nah.
We're distancing ourselves from
You're distancing yourselves from your own shenanigans as superheroes.
Always.
Fantastic. So I am Arcane. Some of you may know who I am. I've been on the channel a couple of times, and I will let everyone introduce themselves and who they will be playing today. Let's start with Kelly.
But why?
Because
I'm so
Mel,
tired.
it was on the left or the right, and Mel started already. So
Okay, am I just introducing me, or am I introducing my character as well? I apologize.
you are yourself and who you're playing.
Okay, hi, I'm KJ, or Kelly, as Rob calls me, because Rob gets first name privileges with me. I'm playing Trickstar, who is also known as Richard Starling and has a really imaginative name. He's essentially like the teenage boy I wish I was when I was a teenager, before I grew up and realised no one actually likes those kids. It's all a lie. The only person who likes them is themselves. And so I'm playing that, because why the heck not? He is his class, so to speak, is unshockingly the delinquent class, and he's basically out to try and get people to be impressed by the shit he does. That's Trickstar. Yay! Who's next, Rob?
It's Luke.
Cool. My name's Luke. I will be playing Alan Smith, or the Electric Ray. He is also out to have people think the things he does are cool, because I am playing the class, the Star, which is all about showing how flashy you are.
Fantastic. Charlie.
Hello, I'm Charlie. I will be playing Talus, Talus. They are the class The Newborn. They are a AI functionally that's been put in a robot type body for the first time. They've been in it for a couple of months now, and they're off to do good and prove themselves and work out what it really means to be human, with only the best team to show them, truly. So yeah, looking forward to working out what lessons they'll learn.
And Mel.
I'm Mel. I am playing the Dryad, aka Robin Jackson. She is somewhat grotesque, which is nice. Blunt lady type person. She is the class, the transformed. And yeah, she's kind of more about trying to not let her powers take her over.
Fantastic. And I am playing your GM. And as I said earlier, this is a superhero tabletop called Masks. Masks is a new generation, which is quite cool. It's got its own setting. A lot of work has been put into it. And it is powered by the Apocalypse game, which runs on 2d6. It's meant to be more simple and narratively driven than a lot of other tabletops out there. It's very easy to just pick up and play. Your character sheet is literally a playbook that you can print out, and is a little pamphlet, and you can just set up and go from there. We are not playing in their official world because that was too much reading for a one shot, and we don't know the rules, so we're going to make it all up as we go along. So it's going to be fun. So this kind of superhero game is going to be more Teen Titans, Young Justice than Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. It is teenagers being teenagers whilst also trying to be superheroes. And we'll see how well they do, how well they become heroes, and how well they teach Talus how to be a good person.
Expect only the best from everyone.
Fantastic. So with that in mind, I'm going to welcome you all to Pinecliff. The year is 2003. The Nokia N-Gage has been out all of 5 minutes, so you're looking at that little Thor phone. Protests have not long begun to pull the USA and allies out of Iraq. Malta has joined the EU, and it's the year of the goat. It's another year stopping criminals for the Silver Bullet Bureau, the facility that our heroes today are a part of. It hasn't really been... it was a much better facility back in its day, but now it just kind of acts as a bit of a mentor and training ground for teenage heroes. So we have the 4 people who have just introduced themselves. On top of that, there is also Georgia Keys, who is somebody. We'll start from there, actually, because the Silver Bullet Bureau is where you all are now, and it is maybe 8 o'clock in the morning at this point. So who's awake at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Talus definitely is. Yeah. They're working out how to make scrambled eggs using a blender.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That is a
Because it
terrible
scrambles them.
idea.
So that seems fine, right?
I tried to do that the other day. It turned out terribly.
Let's not go into your kitchen exploits recently, Rob. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
No mandolins for you.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Dryad, are you awake?
Dryad is not awake.
Dryad's not awake. The Electric Ray, you awake at 8 o'clock
Yes,
in the morning?
he is awake, dressed, all ready to go in all of his try-hard glory.
Fantastic. And Trickster?
Nope, he stayed up too late on MySpace.
You got to
Oh,
set
geez.
those top music tracks.
Precisely that.
Well, that's really nice for Talus and the Electric Ray, because they're the only 2 that aren't rudely awoken by the sound of alarms. And I don't mean like the side of the bed alarm. I mean like a big kind of top near the ceiling red alarm in a little cage, in the comical alert sense that something is going on, and that you should all report to the office of Georgia Keys. So I'm assuming that probably Talus or the Electric Ray get there first.
with a blender of eggs, including the
A
eggshells.
blender of egg in hand. Oh
Yes.
no.
It's ready
Extra
to-
protein in your protein. It's all good.
This is
Sausage.
breakfast. I was told this was breakfast.
So Georgia Keys, who acts as the de facto leader of the Silver Bullet Bureau, is an elderly woman who's a bit frail and thin these days, but she's still has got quite a hard face. She seems like she's still trying to keep. She's not letting her body get her down, and she's not letting her mind give up. She still kind of walks around with a cane, but she has the air that she probably has a shotgun stored underneath one of the counters. She used to go by the name the Silver Wind and was one of those heroes known for having more money than they actually had powers. She sits at her desk expecting you all and kind of nods as you come in. Talus, who I assume comes in first, unless the Electric Ray wishes to be extra showy and try and get there in a much faster way.
No, I think Talus probably beat him up there.
Depends how close the kitchens are.
Yeah.
I think the kitchens are probably fairly close to George's office.
Hmm.
Cool. How does the scrambling go for the Trickster and the Dryad?
Get out of bed, throw some clothes on really quick, throw her hair up in something, and go, oh my god, I need to get to the office, oh no! And like run us up there as fast as possible.
Is this the first such alarm that's happened? Have we been like waiting for this moment?
In fact, you probably more attribute this to drills. Like, you've never had a situation where this alarm has gone off and it's been a real thing.
Okay. In which case, he won't rush particularly much. We'll just do the usual thing of, oh crap, pajama bottoms still on. Okay, let's go.
You also kind of know that the most punishment you get out of this is like a raised eyebrow from Georgia Keys and the "I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed" face.
He's got like a pair of slippers that look like Converses, you know, like the fuzzy Converse style slippers. He's got a set of them, wearing tracksuit bottoms and just a hoodie over his bare chest. Just that's it.
All right.
He'll be back to bed in half an hour anyway, so who cares?
Well, let's hope he is. As the Trickstar eventually rocks up to the office, George Keys indeed raises an eyebrow over her glasses and shakes her head a bit. And she says, unfortunately, this morning is more of an urgent business. There has been an accident just outside of town. And it is one that I have sent Billy over to investigate. And Billy, you all know, is the relatively normal bloke that is involved in the Silver Bullet Bureau, who is entirely normal, but for one superpower. He can smell when a super ability has been used in an area. And Georgia looks at you, and she looks over at Talus and the Electric Ray and the Dryad, and then at Trickster a bit begrudgingly. And she says, Billy said that the entire place stinks. And the scene, it is not for the faint-hearted. It looks like this will be your first proper investigation. So I'm sending you all out. It's your first, I guess, field trip, for lack of a better word. But we don't entirely know what we're expecting. So she pulls open a drawer next to her. She pulls out 4 radios. But no, I think she probably pulls out 3 radios, because a part of me thinks that she's probably already installed one in Talus, ready for such an occasion. Unless you want to disagree, Charlotte.
No, that makes sense. There's probably a button or a flick switch somewhere to turn it on.
Like
Even
those,
better.
Avengers style invisible earpieces that don't exist, and yet somehow doing that makes it work.
Perfect. That's exactly it. Yeah. I don't know which engineer decided that needed to be a thing in Talus, but that's how it
Where the
works now.
button is.
Yeah.
Beep boop.
Fantastic.
I'm coming in.
So yeah, in that case, she pulls out 3 little radios and she passes them out to the 3 other people in the room. And she says, "I want to keep contact with me." And she gives you the details. And I'd like you to try and investigate as fast as you possibly can. There are police on the scene sectioning it off, but at our request, they are not moving anything around until you've had a look. She looks more pointedly at Trickster at this point. She says, "You can get it ready very quickly." Kelly, I think you're muted.
Yeah, he just goes, "Sure, I can do that," and from the ground up, illusions himself into his usual gear, which is not hugely different. Admittedly, it's actual Converses with ripped jeans and a hoodie that zips up all the way up through the hood, so that there's just eye holes on the front of it. Done.
Is it zipped all the way up already?
Yeah, he's cool.
See.
That is fascinating.
It's also a lie, which is what makes it better.
Then underneath, you are still wearing fluffy socks.
100%. Oh, actually, I'm going to get changed, otherwise I'm going to step on something sharp. I'll be right back. And he leaves.
I like the idea. Just did it to show off, and then actually gets into the real kit version.
Yeah, he's going to come back in the same clothes, but it's not going to be an illusion this time.
I like it. What does the Dryad do in response to this?
She kind of is just like, okay, I guess this is it. Okay, I'm ready. I think I've got everything prepped. I'm really nervous, but it'll be okay. It'll be fine.
I can finish making breakfast if you'd like.
If we have time.
She Talus looks to
Look at
Georgia.
Georgia looks at the eggshells in the blender, and she looks back at Talus. I think time is of the essence. Perhaps maybe breakfast will have to wait, or just grab some croissants from the kitchen.
That is
rather than cook
understandable.
anything.
I will toast them on the way.
I like inbuilt toaster Talus. That's what the T stands for.
Just hold them in between their hands. Zzz. All right. Talus heads back to the kitchen to place the blender back in its correct position to pick up some croissants for the rest of the team.
Do they empty the egg out of it?
No, the egg. No, it's put back on, lid on. Talus will come back
Okay.
to it later. Important to continue making these eggs because no one's told them not to yet.
Oh, fantastic.
God bless.
Okay. What does the electric ray do?
Electric Ray is already there in uniform. That's just how he up, have a little jog in the morning, into kit, ready to go at a moment's notice, just in case something happens. So he's ready to leave right now.
Fantastic. Okay, once everyone does get ready, Georgia
It's gravy
gives you the location,
time.
and it is roughly maybe 15 minutes away from where you are by car. Through other means of travel, it might vary, but none of you have the ability to fly, as far as I'm aware, or any similar abilities.
Well, we don't quite know what my electrodynamic control actually does.
We don't know what these powers do.
But we'll say no.
None of us are smart enough to work it out.
So
I have a bicycle. It's a BMX. Someone can stand on the little bars on the tire if they want to.
The defeatist
Fantastic.
way.
I'll do a wheelie.
I'll do it.
Pop a wheelie. Someone can summon.
This is going to amuse me far too much because of
celestial
the
beings.
setting. I might know. I was 18 in 2003.
What's
okay?
that Mitchell and Webb thing where it's like Angel Summoner and BMX Boy? BMX Bandit. I have the BMX Bandit in this case.
So, one element of masks and a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse systems is that I will sometimes ask the players questions that we have not gone over the answers to, and they can make up the answer. And as long as it fits within some realm of sense, then it's all good. For example, Kelly could quite rightly say that we have 4 bicycles outside ready for our team to go, kids on bike style, like Stranger Things, investigating the Demogorgon. Or they could say they have some like fancy demo train we haven't discussed yet, but we'll find out. Luke, how do you get out to this place?
I like it.
You.
Like, if we ask Kelly, this could happen. Luke, what
So
do we
let's
do?
not, because we fear what that might bring.
I think we just get packed back into the people carrier that we got brought there on, because Silver Bullet Bureau doesn't have the budget it once did.
The only form of
it's-
transport left.
So it's like everybody in the
Minibus.
Ford Galaxy, up you hop, come on, like who's getting in the back, right? So we all get kind of packed into the people mover,
Who
and
drives?
kind of hold through.
Yeah. Wait, we've got to get ourselves there, so we don't have a driver. Do we have a driver? Who drove us here
we
again?
could say that Billy drove you,
Okay.
and Billy, as the
Billy's
normal
there.
driver, could easily be involved. Or you could
And
say
the definite
third
adult.
Yeah, Billy is definitely the adult of the party. All I'll say is Binky can't be the one who drives.
So is Billy still with us, or is he still at the crime scene?
Billy is probably back with you now. Like, he'd gone to report in and he's come back since. I like the idea that maybe he's just pulling up as you are coming out of the Silver Bullet Bureau.
Yep, so we'll kind of, if it's a slidey door, we'll slide the door back and like slide in, ready to go, buckled in.
All right, Billy's just like, oh yeah, good. Just head in the back. It's fine. Don't know why I got this voice. But it's brilliant.
But you've committed to it now, Rob.
Good luck. It's one of the few NPCs we have.
It's fine. Not going to be around long.
Talus wants to sit right at the front, like when there's always that little one seat by itself next to the stairs. They want to see out the window. Big wide world out there.
Cool. And we go through Pinecliff. You see great 2003 shops like Woolworths and Blockbuster and Toys R Us and all those other great stores that will last forever. We also go down Talus's favourite open air car park.
I've been here. It's one of the few places they let me go.
And on the way as well, the Electric Ray notes a radio tower of one of the shows that occasionally interviews him. You'll likely get a call from them later today as they investigate whatever's gone on outside of town. And eventually, we'll make it to the crime scene. Billy, he pulls up a little way on what looks like to be quite a bad car wreck from a distance. You can all see fairly plainly quite a thick tree that has got the remains of a car just smashed into it. It has obviously quite burnt quite a little bit. It is quite burnt up, and the silver paint has been licked by flames to the point where just kind of ash and those big black streaks down the front of it can be seen. It looks destroyed. It looks like a wreck, and the right car door has been opened up, and there is, a little while away, the body of somebody lying face down on the floor. And there are a number of police cars outside, a number of police officers. They've basically boarded off everything with the fencing. And they're looking a little bit expectantly. A couple of them are looking bored, and one of them is just kind of pushing traffic to go on without stop being too long. Thank you, Jade, for your kind words in the chat. I can talk. I know words. So yeah, what would you like to do? If Billy will no longer be talking as he stays in the van as you all get out, and there are a number of police officers, and the scene is open to you. Is there anything you'd like to know? Feel free to ask.
Is the body literally just lying there on
It
the floor?
It is lying there on the floor. It's a while away from the car. So good.
Just out in the open.
Yeah.
They haven't put like a little tent over it or anything? Yeah.
Sure. Why not? They put a tent over it.
I was gonna say, because otherwise, mate, you've just got someone's body just lying on the floor, just in the middle of the street. We're not gonna address this.
In fact, there's quite a lot of tent around it. Like, I don't really know how big a tent typically is to go around bodies. However,
Body size.
Body
of a
size.
body.
Usually
Yeah,
quite
this is
obvious
the-
there's a body in there.
yes, but this one is much larger, as if it's trying to cover a bigger area of ground rather than just the body.
Okay.
Well, first we should consult the local police, yes? For they are the authority on these scenes.
There, fuck 'em. Spandex and pens. What's in there? Go on, boy. Off you go.
The look you get is just like,
What, you're the leader, aren't you? Go on. Lead
well,
the charge
as
and all that.
as Talus said, we need to check in with the local law enforcement first. That's protocol.
Yep, good.
and-
Nerd robot can talk to police. Problem 1.
I would
You
be
could
happy
go-
to.
You can go look at the gnarled body. Problem 2. And we'll stand here and look great. Everything's sorted.
I know where I'm going. She goes over to the tree.
Oh, right, fine. I guess I'll stand here and look great. Whatever.
Okay.
You just
so,
kind of go shrug and yeah, I guess I'll go check out the unfortunate victim of this terrible atrocity.
Okay, fantastic. So you're.
I'm
all
going to
suited
chat
and
to
booted.
passers-by.
Okay. So, which order should we go from?
It's
there?
gravy
Let's go
time.
with Talus first. As you approach the police officers, they one of them starts to kind of give you the spiel that he's practiced all morning of please move along before realizing that it is you guys. And he kind of just, oh, hello, Silver Bullet Bureau. It's
Hello, local police officer. It is
just-
now your duty to tell
It's gravy
me
time.
everything that has happened here.
Fantastic. He's a little bit taken aback. He goes, okay, so I'm Private Thomas, and well, we had a call this morning about the car that's crashed, and came out to investigate. It all looked a bit odd, and he kind of points into the dirt. Do you look into the dirt where he points, or are you focusing more on him?
I will look at the dirt intensely.
Cool. So you notice there's some very there's the tire tracks as the car has very much come off of the road. There's also like some rather large gouges in the floor and even in the road itself.
Trying not to get distracted.
Clearly, please. And so we sectioned off the scene, called it in. Your man Billy came around shortly after we started sectioning off and getting people involved, and from there George was said to leave the scene alone until you guys arrived. So
Have
here we
you
are.
identified the individual, the victim?
We managed to find his ID before your guy arrived, as Stanley Davies. He's the most I could find from him, he's got the library card and a few receipts from the library, so he seems to check there out a lot. He's got his address here on his license, and beyond that there's a Blockbusters card, there's a Subway. I mean, I didn't even realise they did cards yet.
Talus puts
And
her
he kind
hands
of-
out
he-
expectantly for these items as well.
He kind of rattles off stuff in his head, looking up to the distance, like checking off a mental list before realizing that you've held your hand out, and he passes over the items. And you take a look for yourself, and everything you said is true. There's a couple of identity cards, and it is very clear this man is Stanley Davies. But when we go over to the electric ray, as I'm okay with that, Jade. The electric ray, Stanley does not look like his ID pictures him at the moment, because he's a little bit burnt up and dead and face down on the floor.
Yeah.
It is not great. He's wearing just, he was wearing, still is wearing, a pair of jeans. He's double denimed up. He's got this denim jacket on top, and you assume there's a shirt underneath there. But again, he's face down in the mud, and it's very much, it looks like even in this wreck, his left leg is broken. And he's got like a hand out. It's very obvious that this man was trying to crawl away. And poor Luke's face looks so disgusted.
No, that's just my resting face.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I see.
No, I'm listening, Rob. I'm sorry.
It worked for the scene.
We'll say it was intentional then.
Yeah, there's a woman just kind of. It's the very kind of stereotypical woman taking pictures of the body, who hurries out or goes to hurry out as soon as you enter, unless you stop her at all.
Yeah, no, he'll stop. He'll stop the woman and ask, "Is this where the body was found? Has anything been moved?"
No. Everything is exactly where it was when we discovered the body. We have. I think Thomas went over the body real quick to take out his ID and any personal belongings, car keys, but other than that, everything is exactly where it was.
Good job. And then he'll just kind of let her scuttle away, if that's what she's going to do, and have a wee sort of look around sort of the immediate scene, especially if you've said that like the tent looks larger than expected.
The tent does look a lot larger than you expected, and it could easily fit a few more people in here, which is unusual. So give me an assess the situation roll. Roll me superior.
Ooh,
So-
first roll.
For our audience, this is a 2d6 system. You roll 2d6s, and you can get from a 2 to a 12. You also add a couple of modifiers on your character sheet, and that can go from anywhere from a -2 to a +3, depending on where they've put their stats.
Cool. So that is
Success is anything above a 7, but if it's a 7 to a 9, bad stuff happens as well. And if it's a 6 or less, it's a fail roll, and bad stuff happens. The bad stuff may or may not be related. We'll see how it goes. So, what did you get?
9.
9. Cool. So you get a mixed success. Yeah, exactly. Less dice, less math. So you get, on a mixed success, you get to ask one question out of, what here can I use to blank? So if there's something that you want to do, what here can I use to help that happen? What here is the biggest threat? What here is the greatest danger? Who here is the most vulnerable to me? And how could we best end this quickly? So it's some very strange questions to ask, but they all should have answers for you. So I'll go over them again real quick. What here can I use to blank? What here is the biggest threat? What here is in greatest danger? Who here is the most vulnerable to me? And how could we best end this quickly?
I'm trying to think of the best one to try and answer the questions that I actually have. So,
Oh, what question do you actually have? And we can see if it fits into any of the other categories.
I'm just trying to, basically, I'm trying to work out why this tent is so much larger than it would be normal. Is there anything else that seems to be around the body?
So if we were to say what here is the greatest danger, because there's obviously a reason why this has been propped up, and the reason itself is that there are these large gouge marks in the floor, and they From the outside, it could be considered natural, but the closer you are to getting into this tent, and especially inside the tent, you see what are unmistakably claw marks in the floor. And when I say like in the floor in the dirt, it's kind of like the very stereotypical when claws have taken a swipe out of a door. The imprint that's left behind is in the dirt. This either somebody's done it on purpose, or it is a big animal, and that animal is big. Like maybe a bear, you would think. Just
not a house
how many
cat.
bears you've seen, but it's not going to be a house cat. No. Like even for a mountain lion, this would be big.
So, and this is kind of around the body. There doesn't seem to be anything that would suggest that Stanley's also been hit by this afterwards.
Yeah, so his
there's no like gouge marks or anything on him.
There are a couple of gouge marks on him here and there, but the majority of it seems to be fire. Just the result of being on fire. So there's not as many gouge marks as you would expect from an animal attack.
Cool.
So with that in mind, unless you have any other questions, we'll move on to...
No, that's it for just now, I think.
Trickster. So as police officers are kind of ushering people on as they are coming close. There are a couple of people in the street. A businessman that looks like he's trying to get to lunch, and the road he usually takes is currently being held up, and he looks annoyed about it. There's a woman and her child is trying to take a better look, but she's trying to kind of usher him.
You've suddenly gone completely silent on mine. Can anyone else hear Rob?
Same. Can't hear you, Rob.
I was I can hear you from the other room. I just couldn't hear you on the stream.
Oh no.
Oh, hear you now.
However, I'll ask my first question. How old's the child?
The child is maybe like 6, 7.
Good.
Hey,
they never
kid.
know when to shut up. I'm going to talk to that kid.
Please don't show him a dead body.
So the mother, she looks like she's maybe in her late 20s. Looks up from trying to usher her kid away to see you approaching, because the kid has decided to, instead of looking at the dead body, to lock eyes on you, and is amazed by your get-up and is intrigued.
I'm going to go, all right, love, I've got some questions for your spawn. What did you know? What did you see? What's been going on? Tell me everything.
I don't know how to... the
How to do that?
6-year-old. Be a 6-year-old, Rob.
The woman is taken aback slightly as she's concerned. I think this is probably going to be a superior role for you. Just give me a straight superior role. As you kind of bamboozle this woman to, like, suddenly her child is more important than she would be. She's very used to this being the other way around, where the police officer asks her questions, not
Ask the
kid.
adult questions, yeah.
So give me a superior
Yeah,
roll.
I did. That's a 10. Superior
That's
is
a
my
10.
best option.
That's a success. So the kid, the woman is definitely reeled back for a bit, so you can get some information out of this kid. And the boy looks up at you. Oh, I don't really know. I don't know why he's Cockney.
I made that choice now.
I know,
God.
You made that choice.
Why, it's Christmas Day, sir.
I can't really see too much. They won't let me have a look. Like, she's trying to drag me away. I'm not sure what's happening. Do you know what's happening?
I know loads of stuff about what's happening. Don't you worry. Ignore mother. Mother's still going to be there in a bit. What weird stuff's been happening? What things have you looked at and you've gone, oh, that's a bit unusual? Because I know what kids are like. Kids see things. Adults are too tall. They don't notice things. It's when you're down low, you notice everything.
I saw a squirrel that was looking a little bit funny earlier that came
Where?
over and had a... over there. He points to a different tree, not related to the scene at all. It's like far off to the right. It looked like it was taking something with it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, Mum said it was just a nut.
All right.
And I think there was a bird in the sky that was circling around a bit that I thought might have been a vulture.
All right. All right.
No, vultures are not in the country this is set in.
Which is now apparently London.
This is, I don't know. Pinecliff is generic English town that maybe also has
Tiny Tim can be wherever he wants to be. Leave him alone.
We don't judge.
And my mum says that Santa Claus isn't real.
Your
but
mum's a
I'm sure
liar.
I saw it. Yeah.
Ignore. How
I
fucking
think
dare
that-
you?
He's 6, let him believe.
You swear in front of this 6-year-old. Like, I think at that point, his mother, like, kind of, the whole very obviously slaps her hands carefully around his ears, and excuse me, we will be going.
All right, fine. I'm going to put my hands on his shoulders and gone. Nothing you said has impressed me. I'm sorry, and get up and walk.
Oh no.
Poor Gavroche.
Well, can't wait for his him in the
made a
future
villain.
to come back.
Yeah,
beat
I've
up
made a
Trickster.
syndrome.
Wonderful. And with that, we'll go to the Dryad.
Gonna walk past Dryad and go, I'm looking for a squirrel, be right back.
Dryad, you may or may not hear it as you're talking to the tree. So I guess you're using your powers.
Yeah.
Cool. Would you like to unleash your powers to overcome an obstacle,
Yes.
reshape your environment, or extend your senses? I think in this case it's probably the latter one. If I
It's
have.
probably like she's probably gonna like try and be as inobtrusive as possible. I mean, she's gonna be talking to a tree, so she's gonna kind of like reach her hand out and kind of like touch the tree and just be like, "Hello."
Okay, roll me
Mike?
freak.
That is, ooh, that's a good one. So that is 10.
Oh, that's fantastic. So
'Cause
that's
plus
a
3.
success with no badness attached.
Yeah, that's a
Yay.
good one. Look what I got with my 10. I got, there was a squirrel.
Squirrel.
Santa's fake.
Yeah. If you decide to go kick a curb as your action, don't be expected when the result is you
I
kick
did
the
not kick a
curb.
curb. I could have kicked something, but I didn't. Because we're a friendly stream until 9 o'clock.
So 10 minutes. All right. So I'm assuming that you're using extend your senses for this particular
Yeah.
circumstance. So what are you trying to do? So you're saying hello to the tree. I think that tree gives you a very slow hello.
Oh, he's a good tree.
I'm in a little bit of pain.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. This
Did you
nasty.
do it?
No, this nasty person has, I think, crashed into you.
Oh,
Can you tell me
it's
a
not
little
the
bit about
first time.
what happened?
Well, I was standing where I always stand, and then there was many cars going by like they usually are, and then this car was swerving around the road, and it was very dark, but it looked like it was trying to get away from something or someone, like another car. But then it swerved and it crashed into me, and there was a lot of fire for a while. I'm not sure what happened after that, but then he was crawling out of his car over there, and the thing that was trying to get him wasn't happy about the fact that he was on fire.
Did you see
And
any more about the thing that was trying to get him? Was it another person?
I don't think it was a person. It was big. But it was also very dark, and it was, I think maybe it was black, or maybe it was just invisible, but I couldn't make it out properly.
That's fair enough. I mean, you're in a lot of pain right now, and I get
Yeah, it's it's very sore.
that. Yeah. Can I try and like heal the tree?
Sure, give me a a freak roll. The tree was at least there for the entire thing, my love.
Yeah,
I feel
that's
that
why she's going to go
the
and talk to
human
the
child is just appeared on the scene.
tree. That's why she's going to go talk to the tree. As soon as she says there's a tree, she's going to go talk to the tree. Never mind these human business. Nah. That is a 10 again. I just rolled another
Oh, that's a
7.
nice. Oh, fantastic. So,
I like you, Dice. You can
Talos.
say.
Talus, as you're looking over the scene, you're looking at. You may have also heard Trickstar walk past saying he's going to investigate a squirrel. But as you watch the dryad doing something to the tree, the car that is still stuck in there kind of moves slightly backwards. The police officers don't really notice, but you do. As the tree kind of regrows some of its bark and pushes away a bit of the threat. And just, it seems even like the leaves around it are a little bit greener.
Well, that is fascinating. And Talus will actually go over and they will actually like pick up the bumper of the car and help to continue pulling it out of the tree with their super strength.
Okay, fantastic.
Do I have to roll for anything like that, or is that just like...
Yeah, I mean, so with this, it's kind of, it's not a massively, there's no real threat, there's nothing around it, there's nothing to be gained from doing so, so typically you might not have to roll. You can roll if you want to.
No, because it might go wrong.
Yeah, it could be fun if it goes wrong, who knows?
I don't want to accidentally hit like the dryad with the car.
I don't think
No, it's nice and slow. It's like they're not in a rush. Like they're not having to save anybody, but they notice, oh, trees regrow and they don't want the car in them anymore, so I will help remove the car.
Okay. And at
That's
this point, the
all
police
car
officers
gently.
are looking a little bit like, oof. A couple of the male ones are looking like I could have done that if I wanted. Right. A couple of others look more impressed.
And actually, while I'm at the car, I'd like to have a look. Is it just a completely charred mess? Is there anything left of
It
the
is-
inside?
It is kind of charred inside as well, but it's not too bad. There's still, you could easily like open the front part of it is more burnt than the back part.
Talus would like to open up the doors or climb in through and have a look inside as well. And actually, like as they start to kind of climb and maneuver themselves in, they'll call out to the others and be like, "I'm looking inside the car now," and then just like sink into it.
Fantastic. So probably at that point, the Electric Ray is finishing up their investigation inside the tent.
He'll kind of come striding purposefully out and kind of check out where everyone else seems to be. See Talus maneuvering themselves into the big car. Dryad conversing with Treebeard. To be honest, as long as it looks like Trickstar isn't getting into too much trouble, happy to ignore him.
I think potentially at this point, you probably don't see Trickstar right, like as you come out of the tent for a while.
And is
unless
that
you
more
properly
of a
go
problem?
Yeah, that almost gets like when a toddler's too quiet. Like, where is he? In which case, no, he's not going to worry too much about that past the immediate sort of oh god, where's he gone, and head over to the car, but see if there seems to be any more of these like sort of slashed gouge marks, and if they seem to come from a particular direction.
Okay. Let's give me another superior roll.
That is a 12.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, fantastic. So, very plainly, you see a fair few of these talon marks around, and as it is very obvious from where the body was and where the car was going out from them, they get further, like slightly further apart. Like it's not the 3 claws in a straight line, it's just one gouge here and there. It's as it gets closer to the car, there are more of these 3 gouges, and you can actually see some of those 3 gouges are in the car itself. It's in like the metal of the car. Very kind of, you didn't notice it at first, but looking at it a bit more carefully, you're kind of like, no, that's not just part of the wreck. That is something that's taken a gouge out of the car.
Yeah.
And then you kind of notice very specifically that where the car is caught on fire and around that area, like the front of the car, there are no gouge marks.
Right, so it's basically... Okay, cool.
Okay. Let's go to Trickstar.
Hello.
I chasing squirrel.
Not really. No, what I'm actually doing, I'm walking over the road towards the tree, but then I go to whichever, I don't know whether it's houses or flats in this area, but one of the doors for whatever residence is looking out onto this street, and tap, 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 tap on the door.
Okay. So your aim is just to kind of get people...
I'm going to canvas because I'm looking for a curtain twitcher. Someone who sits and stares out of the street all day waiting for someone to like put a plastic bottle on their garden wall so that they can shout shit at them from the window. That sort of person.
Yeah, I think you have to knock on a couple of doors before you find that kind of
That's
person.
all right. I've got really strong knuckles. I'm good for
Okay.
it.
You're off harassing little old
A
grannies.
long
This is what-
misspent use playing Chapdoor Runaway has come in useful.
Do I find a crotchety old grandma or grandpa who is willing
I've
to
got a
talk shit?
crocodile man who's opened the door like, hello, young man. Yes, what
Oh, is it an old man?
are you wearing?
When an old man answers the door, he's like, haha, jackpot. And he unzips and pulls the hood down. And goes, oh, hello, mister, sir. We were looking into the what was been going on over there, and they said that I had to go and question people, and I figured who knows better about the goings on in a neighbourhood than its elders. So I thought I'd come and ask you if you knew anything, sir.
I was sleeping at the time where I heard.
Oh, it's a
got woken
fucking waste
up.
of time. I'll walk away.
Hold on, I woke up to the sound of it hit the tree, and I looked out the window and had a look, and well, I've been keeping an eye on the situation, but not much happened. There was maybe a bird.
Thank you for your service. Goodbye. And off I go again.
And as you kind of go off, you see, like by that tree that the kid was talking about earlier,
Squirrel tree.
with the squirrel tree.
Oh, if there's a clue by the squirrel tree, god damn, Rob.
There's,
You and me, we're gonna have problems.
not so much a clue, is that there's like a young woman, like maybe 15, around about your age, looking up at the tree, and if you follow her gaze, you see indeed that squirrel kind of chewing at what looks like a nut, and she looks over at you, she looks back at the squirrel and goes, what's he chewing on?
Oh, I'm sorry, do I look like a squirrel expert? I don't know. You're the one who's been looking at it. You tell me, what's it chewing on?
Ah, it's not an acorn. It's black. I don't know what seeds are black. You look up at it, and whatever the squirrel has in its little hands is definitely like this little black, like, bead.
The squirrel does have the answers.
Okay, and it's just on a branch, is it?
Yeah, it's just sitting on a branch.
Okay. I'll turn to the kid and go, watch this. I'm climbing the tree, Rob.
Okay.
Fight
Off
the
I go.
squirrel. Fight the
Well,
squirrel.
I'm gonna get
Fight
that
the
squirrel.
squirrel. This is the kind
I
of
looked at my
content we want.
superpowers and then went, nah, climbing the tree.
So I think this is definitely a mundane role. You're very much doing the opposite of using your powers.
Yeah, fair. That's 4.
Oh. Okay.
Oh no, wait, I get +1. That's a 5.
That's still a failure. So 6 and below is a hard failure. That means I can do terrible things in relation to our player's
Squirrel,
role.
man.
Or it could be completely unrelated. It could be the fact that as Kelly is climbing the tree, or Trickstar is climbing the tree, a branch breaks off because the whole ground shakes because the car explodes, knocking Talus back. It could be related to Trickster, it could not be. In this case, it is going to be something similar. It's going to be Trickstar climbing the tree, grabbing the branches. One of the branches breaks. Trickstar goes down with quite a hefty branch between them and the poor girl that pointed out the squirrel, who is crushed. Well, not crushed, but is in between.
Have I killed a
and
child?
the
Rob?
ground. You've not killed a child.
Sworn
have-
a child.
You have
Killed a
slightly
child.
injured a child.
Oh, that's fine. That's all right.
I mean, it's not really fine.
That's
Um,
'cause I'm just on the floor like.
I think.
Did the squirrel drop the nut?
The squirrel did drop the knot. I'm going to give you that, and it's rolling away. But your
Off I
choice
go.
now is either to tend to the poor girl you've landed on, or chase the nut.
Chase the nut.
All right, fantastic. So the girl screams a little bit and complains out in pain. The old man's curtain twitches open as he watches you run away from the scene,
You saw nothing, old man.
and the police officer nearby the scene turns around to investigate what's going on, and he goes over to go and tend to the girl as you chase after the nut. And it is the kind of wheel of cheese down a hillside. As suddenly you realise that this little park is much steeper than you expected, as this not a nut rolls down the hill. Talus, what are you up to? As Trickster almost falls over their feet.
Am I able to see any of this from like inside the
You've
car facing
probably-
out?
Oh no, you're inside the car. I forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
fine. Probably not.
All right, good. We're gonna pretend it's not happening. Whatever. I'm gonna open up the like the glove
the-
box. See
Fantastic.
if there's something in there.
Okay. There's like a charred copy of one of the Harry Potter books in there. Set of burnt driving gloves and some sunglasses, a couple of receipts. That's about it.
Nothing interesting. Darn.
Nothing entirely interesting. Unless you
anything-
like a burnt book of Harry Potter.
No, not today anyway. Is there anything like in the footwells, like of the of behind the two front seats?
Not particularly.
No.
Maybe like some dirt here and there, but nothing particularly interesting.
Mhm. Okay. I will climb back out the car then, to the electric ray, and stand in front of him. There is nothing inside of any use, unless you can read burnt books or receipts. But I did find these, and they hand over the sunglasses to the electric ray.
So you've handed over the sunglasses. Did you hand over the receipts as well? Did you say?
No, they were all burnt. They discarded them to the side.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. They
yeah.
did mention receipts though.
He'll kind of reach in past and kind of see if there's anything that's still sort of legible on them.
Yeah, so quite obviously compared to a lot of it, there is quite a large yellow S that looks like an arrow, and a yellow U, and a yellow B. The rest of the receipt at the top is burnt. Then what looks like a little bit of a sandwich order, from what you can tell in between bits and pieces. that's one receipt. The second receipt is very similar, but burnt in different places.
Do they help?
Apart from now knowing what his lunch order was, not particularly. Was there any evidence that the police got off the body?
Oh yes. And Talus like opens up a pocket and hands over, I think it was like the ID card, there was a library card, a Subway card, a Blockbusters card. I think that was most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple more receipts. They're all Subway related.
Also,
A couple
He
of them are related.
rather enjoyed
to
his
the,
sandwiches.
A couple of them are related to the library.
so have a kind of flick through. On the library receipts, does it say what was checked out or checked in?
That Harry Potter book.
Talus reaches back into the
That
car and
I ain't coming back.
And then one dated maybe about a week ago. We'll just say this is the Prisoner of Azkaban. The one from a week ago is the Chamber of Secrets.
a
Don't know when
fast
the
reader.
books came out, but I'm pretty sure.
Lisanovsky.
Apparently, The Order of Phoenix came out in 2003, so it's okay. Yeah. I've got plenty to work with as well.
Got plenty to work.
Cool. Sorry, go ahead.
Might it be
It's
worth
gravy
checking the
time.
trunk? The boot?
Uh,
The back of the car?
yeah, those are all the same things. And you'll kind of head round to the back, be like, okay, and
I'm helping. Should I open it? Do you need me to open it? And they start to like push fingers in between and start to heave up the boot of the car without it being unlocked.
Yeah, just batter right in then, I guess.
I think give me a freak roll.
I
Sean,
will.
as you try to use your super strength.
Oh,
to
no.
wrench open a car.
5.
Oh, fantastic.
That was
Is
really bad.
Is that plus your?
Yeah, that
bonuses?
was. I rolled a 3.
Okay. Oh no. So again, that's another failure, and I think I've mentioned it to you before, but I've not mentioned it on the stream. A failure also means that you get a point of experience. The idea is that you learn from your mistakes in this game. You don't gain XP by beating baddies. You learn from messing up. So Kelly, you've got an experience point.
Is that the same as the
And also-
potential?
It might be potential.
Okay.
This
Yeah, it's
game
every
has-
time
yes,
you
it
miss
is
on a move,
potential.
mark potential.
Yes. 5 misses means that you level up, and we'll hopefully not get to that point in this one shot. But if you do mess up that much, then it's going to be great for everyone watching. Cool. So you grab the car and you go to what you assume is the bit to raise it up.
It's
And
gravy
the car
time.
kind of comes with you for a bit. The car raises up, and after a while, you realize it's not working. Put it down. It narrowly misses the electric ray's foot, and it is just kind of wrenched upwards. Like the car boot is opened because you've taken it off, and you're kind of standing there like, oh no.
Well,
As you
I did
can-
it.
The electric ray, you can see inside. You see a little bag, spare pair of boots, and spare tire. The police officers looking around. One of them looks at Talus with a little bit of fear in their eyes as they've
Valid.
seen. How tall is Talus?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have thought.
'Cause in
They're
my
probably as
head-
tall as a normal adult. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you
'Cause
think?
In
What do you
my
think?
head, I'm just picturing it as Charlie-sized because I'm
Fair.
using you as a reference, but it could be completely different. And also, when you say as an adult, the rest of you are teenagers, so that could mean that you're taller than they are.
Yeah, I think a little bit taller. I think because the scientists built the body, so although the AI might still be young, it's probably in a bit of a taller body.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
This is fair. So you're basically holding the boot open. What you think is open, but is actually just taken off.
It's technically open.
It is technically open.
I did it.
Electric ray as you potentially look through the bits. There's some fish food, some chicken that's probably going off by now because it's not been refrigerated. And little items like so someone's shopping. Let's go back to the dryad. You've been speaking to a tree and you've not been up to much since then, so let's find out what you've been up to. You might have been the only one at the moment who could potentially have seen Trickster start to climb
That's
another
what I was
tree
gonna
and then
ask.
tap it.
If they've seen Trickster climbing the tree, they're gonna run over the tree.
Excellent.
Following type here.
So you also see the poor 14-year-old girl who's lying on the floor in a bit of pain with a branch over the top of her that she's just managed to push off as the police officer's going over to her.
Just gonna go touch the tree.
All right, fine. Let's talk to more trees. Roll me a freak as this poor 15-year-old girl is on the floor in pain.
Oh,
The
I like
hero's
rolling
priorities.
freak because I just got 11.
Excellent.
I want your dice rolls.
I was gonna say you want these dice. Guess where they're sold.
I rolled what was meant to be my best dice and got a 3.
Mate, you say where are they sold? I'm using your dice too. They haven't done me well so far. I'm going to change another set of your dice.
In fairness, you've rolled okay, but it's been on squirrels.
Yeah, fair.
Children. Talk to trees.
Never work with kids or animals. And you first rule.
Excellent. So what do you want to talk to the tree about? This tree, a little bit more lively. Hello, how are you?
Are you okay?
A little bit sore, a bit it's just been taken off of me, but I'll live.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
Is the
He's a
girl
little bit
okay?
enthusiastic. I don't know.
Okay. Is the guy okay?
I don't
As,
know.
Trickstar starts running down the hill.
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay, that's good. What's up?
I just wanted to check you were okay and make sure you were fine because they just broke stuff off you.
Yeah, I mean it's not ideal, but I'll deal with it. I guess it's not really much you can do now. You can put it back on with. I hear glue's big these days. But
Where do you hear this from?
people,
You're the worst.
there's a lot of them in the town.
Talking
Not
about
what I'd
that
ever
tree
eat.
glue all the time.
What's that?
That'll do.
Serious face. A man's died, guys.
The trees. The trees and the squirrels.
Oh.
The dryad's kind of like, cool. I should probably focus on the situation, but I was just checking you were okay, and yeah, I don't like it. Did you see anything of what happened
When?
when the big boom went over there with the fire and stuff?
Oh yeah, big boom, fire, car crash. Happens every now and then. I wasn't paying much attention.
Oh, okay. She's gonna leave the tree now.
Excellent.
Still not gonna see to the child. She's gonna go. She's gonna run back to the others.
Okay,
Guys are
fantastic.
the worst superheroes in the world.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna
Like
ask
people.
for a secondment to the team. Jeez.
Where were we? Okay, let's go back to Trickstar, and let's see how this goes. Running down the hill. I think at most the only problematic thing in your way is that to the bottom of the hill, as this little not nut is rolling, there's like this little tennis court right in the middle. So as you're running now, you're about to hit like where the net is. and get involved in this tennis court game. Are you too bothered by the people playing tennis to like try and go around them, or are you going straight through? Kelly?
I'm trying to think. I don't know because it's only going to go wrong for me regardless. Straight through. I'm beelining.
Okay.
I'm
this is
getting that goddamn whatever it is.
fine. Cool. So give me a superior check.
Superior.
Yeah, so I would say mundane, but
Oh, no,
if I'll let you pick which one,
Mhm.
because I think that in this case you're trying to both get the thing, but you're using your smarts so you avoid getting hit in the face with a tennis ball.
So I rolled an 11 with just the dice.
Okay.
So that's a 14, including my
Cool.
superior stat. These dice.
So like you dive down to grab this knot nut, and it slips out of your fingers as you stand up. It hits where the guy playing tennis, he smacks the knot nut and it lands in your hand, and you're like, that was pretty lucky, pretty good.
Skill.
And I picture that Trickstar like raises it aloft like a trophy,
Yeah.
despite the fact that nobody's watching apart from these two guys playing tennis who are a bit confused. And I think they think the ball is like, they think you've caught the ball, and they're like, they give you a little clap because it's impressive, and they're like, can we have it back? And you can see it's a little bit behind one of them.
No. And I leave.
Okay, fantastic. They look a little bit dumbfounded. And you walk off, and what you see is a little black, again, wooden bead. But it's completely smooth, so there's no little holes in it. It doesn't go onto like a bracelet or anything. And it's got a strange little red symbol kind of painted on it.
What does this symbol look like?
It looks like somebody's tried to make a skull out of all straight lines.
Okay.
But the jaw doesn't look right. It looks more pointed.
Cool. Yeah, I'll make my way back to rest of Gang
Fantastic.
with my bead.
Cool.
I'm gonna go straight up to the Spandex Wonder and just go, hold out your hand.
That just distrust is the only thing.
Mate, it ain't a pull my finger. Hold out your hand.
Will like slowly extend.
I'm gonna hold it and then just drop it into his palm and go, the squirrels know, and walk away. I'm gonna go see what's going on with this car. I'm just gonna start peering through the windows of the car.
Okay.
I'm presuming upon inspection, I see what's
Yeah, you
KJ
see
saw.
the
Yeah.
same kind of
Yeah, I've not
Weird.
switched it or nothing.
weird
No.
red skull kind of thing on it, but with
Cool,
a
cool.
pointed jaw.
Cool. Did you find this somewhere on the scene? Is this just, if you had this in your pocket, like what's?
Well, I spoke to a child who told me that a squirrel stole something. So I went after the squirrel, then the squirrel dropped that, and then I chased that, and then I got it, and now you've got it. Figure out what it means. What's about this car, eh?
An interesting series of events. And there's nothing in it, unless you like Harry Potter.
Nah, not really.
Oh.
Now
Would you
what?
like the glasses? And Talus tries to hand the sunglasses to
Yeah,
Trickster
sure.
instead.
Gonna head over and catch up with the Dryads because
I think the
Nope.
Dryads come back to you at this point.
yeah.
He's heading back over.
Yeah.
Did you find anything out from the trees?
Yes, they were very helpful. They usually are. They're usually more helpful than humans. Yeah, they basically the car was being chased. It was swerving around. It was.
The car was being chased. It was swerving around.
It was swerving around. It was very dark. But they were trying to get away from another car or something else that was behind it. They couldn't see. It was, bless them. They were in a lot of pain. But there was a lot of fire, and then the person came crawling out the car, and the thing that was trying to get him was really big, might have been invisible. They don't really know.
Well, there was nothing inside the car of any interest.
Hi, I'm Mike.
So if they were looking for something rather than someone, then maybe they got it.
Or it might have something to do with what Trickstar found. Or this could just be something that fell off someone's keychain.
How would it go on a keychain? Ain't got a hole in it. Look, it's like completely smooth.
I don't make keychains.
That's true. You're not a very creative person. But yeah, don't diss my clues. I found.
He'll put it in with like the little baggie that all the receipts and stuff have come in.
Thank you.
With all the other evidence. You said there was another car. He'll like kind of walk back, sort of in the direction that the car would have driven in. Does it look like there's any other like tire tracks or anything there? Like someone's like stopped or like swerved and then
No.
pulled back out?
No, nothing of the sort. Unless you want to give me a superior roll.
Yeah, why not?
Assess the
Let's...
situation.
I like how the answer is no, unless you want to roll. Have it be a no with consequences.
Could go either way, is what we're saying.
Trip over your own shoelace.
Math. That is a 9.
Okay. There are definitely no other tyres, apart from the ones that are obviously from this car. And lead to this car that is the road. No other tyres at all. Actually, that's probably a lie, because there's probably like typical tyres on the road, but none that
But
seem
there's no like
unusual.
someone has screeched to a halt or set off again.
These are just
obviously.
typical tyres, not what we're looking for.
I don't know if anyone can see the Twitch chat, but mine just stopped.
Yeah, I have also got a network error. I didn't know if that was me.
AD!
Yeah, let's refresh.
Mine's alright.
I'm
Oh,
refreshing.
no, hang on, wait.
No, it's
My
fine. It
phone
does
died
it
like
sometimes.
10 minutes ago.
It does it sometimes.
So
It's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
I
Yeah,
just
mine looks alright.
presumed everything was okay.
I'm back, so that's fine.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
we're
I'm
good.
back
It just
now.
does it
We're good.
sometimes.
We're okay.
Good
Um,
God.
There's a lot of claw marks around the body and on the car.
What is your local fauna? Are they big like this? Does this
No,
happen
no,
often?
No massive claw beasts, no.
I mean,
Like sometimes you
did
get a really
say-
fat cat or something, but you don't get like massive bear claws like this.
I know cats, yes, they're not this big.
Nah.
They did say it was a thing that was trying to get him, so maybe that was it.
Well,
Like, it was very big, but it was also very dark.
I mean, it was
It-
nighttime when it happened,
Yeah.
so.
well, if our colleague said it smelt like heroes around here and powers being used, then is this a power being used?
Oh, do you reckon it's like a werewolf person?
I've read a book about those. They are your humans, but they turn into dogs.
They aren't my humans, but yeah. You ever seen Dog Soldiers?
No.
And
are
on
they
that,
dogs?
We
you're
are
gonna move towards the
pleased to do
police.
that.
Just
Highly educational.
Talus continues to talk then at Trickster for a while about dogs in uniforms.
Trickstar will relay how you can fight off a werewolf using cutlery.
Fascinating. Truly, truly fascinating.
Question to the GM, like the area we're in, is it like a sort of densely populated area? Is it like, I know you said there was like a park, like what's like our immediate surroundings like?
In my head, it was kind of like a generally like starting to picture this. It was literally like a desert road, but I think now it's just been populated and it is kind of towards the outskirts of the city. A couple of parks, less buildings.
Yeah.
A little while longer, and you're just in countryside.
Is there any kind of dense tree cover?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe to that little park where Trickster
Yeah.
just ran down the hill towards the bottom of that hill is quite a large forest, maybe.
I'm gonna have a wee bimble over there and see if I can see any more of these like gouge marks or like prints or anything like that that would suggest something big has fled the scene.
Okay.
Or even like boot marks, now that Talus had mentioned somebody changing.
Yeah, that's fair. So you don't see any other marks apart from the ones near the car.
Cool.
Give me another assess the situation. And I'm gonna, depending on what
What's
it's
that?
another superior roll.
Okay, cool. That is 9.
9. So you get
Apparently, no matter which combination of dice I roll, we get a 9.
So, in fact, because you're assess the situation, you also get a +1 while acting on the answers. And previously, you'd succeeded to ask about the tracks, and now you're actively looking for the tracks. So I guess you get a +1 to this roll, which would make it a 10.
Yeah.
So you get 2 questions, and we'll do these 2 questions and then go on to break because it's 9:30. So 2 questions, that'll be your cliffhanger. What here can I use to blank? What here is the biggest threat? What here is in the greatest danger? Who here is most vulnerable to me, and how could we best end this quickly?
I think I'm gonna go for what. I can't tell what you're mouthing at me, Charlie.
The threat. What's the biggest threat? What is this thing? That's what I'm thinking anyway.
I'm gonna go for what's the biggest threat and how can I end this thing quickly?
Global warming.
Okay.
Not
I'm
incorrect.
going to-
It's the answer to both of them.
I mean, there's a more specific situation here, I suppose.
Nah.
So,
Moral of the story.
which order should I do this in? So we'll do how can I end this quickly? No, in fact, we'll do the other one.
Solve the
biggest
murder.
Biggest threat. You very much notice that there are no tracks apart from the gouges around the car, to the point where it's significantly noticeable that there are no other trucks, because anything that was big enough and tough enough to do that should theoretically leave tracks around it. There should be some veering off kind of.
That kid saw a bird. It was like there was a vulture circling around in the sky. It was a bird with big old talons.
Drop a car and a werewolf onto the road.
Yeah.
I'm willing to believe.
And then the squirrel is somehow involved.
Cool.
Don't forget the
And-
tree.
I think at this point, how best to resolve the situation is you kind of taking a look at the tracks, realizing that's coming up with nothing too much that will help you. So you look at kind of what has been given to you by your allies, what has been found, and you look at the library card in the guy's wallet and linger on that for a moment. You know, the library card itself, the library itself is kind of opposite from a subway that's recently opened. so they are fairly linked. And then you look at the strange triangular skull symbol on the bead, and although it is red, it looks very roughly like this picture that I've put in the Heavyweight Gaming tabletop gaming chat.
Cool. Let me just scroll through a couple of tabs to
Ooh.
Let's
find
have a look.
this.
Oh, it's a bird with cat ears. Is it an owl?
And with that, we'll
It's
go on our
an
break.
owl.
Ooh, this
Bum,
is all
bum,
connected.
bum.
I'm so smart.
This Harry Potter book
I'm going to
thing
pretend
has
I
more.
found it.
Yeah, if you want to see, go onto the Discord, and AD, if you want, you can do some fun stream magic to make it appear on the stream. I've just put it in the tabletop
Done it.
gaming chat on the
Done
Heavyweight
it.
Gaming
Already done it.
channel. Beautiful. Cool. Fantastic. We'll go on break.
Ooh,
We're going to go
scary.
and have a bit of a bio break and get some drinks, etc., etc. Please don't go anywhere. We will be back to see if they can find out what's going on after the break.
Woohoo.
3, 2, 1. I'm assuming we might be live now, but I'm waiting for the Twitch.
are
I
live
can see
now.
my face because. Hello, folks. Welcome back to Masks with our good friends Kelly, Luke, Charlie, Mel, and Adi in the background being, I guess, our production manager. What title would you like for this, Adi?
Grand High Poobah.
Grand High Poobah. Fantastic. Okay, so we left our lovely heroes. They were, well, the Electric Ray was mulling over what to do next as they look down at the small bead they have and the library card and the fact that the whatever did this thing, this bad wreck, didn't leave any more marks other than what is around the car.
Image looked a bit like an owl.
And the image looks a bit like, as I said, a pointed skull that you could possibly think is an owl.
As soon as that kind of clicks, he's going to jog back on over to the Mad Squad and say to Trickster, did you say there was a big bird?
Not well. I didn't. But the kid that I spoke to said they saw something that looked like a big bird, maybe a vulture. Now I don't know about you. Don't think there's many native vultures here, so perhaps that particular bit of information not so good. But yeah, it's there was apparently a bird flying overhead, circling.
Does this look kind of like a bird to you? And he'll like hold the bead back out.
I mean, yeah, could be an owl, could be like a crow or a raven, something like that.
Just
It's a
because we've
bird.
got these big sort of gouge marks that just disappear.
Mm.
There's no tracks, no nothing. It's like it just got up and left.
Like it swiped and then flew off.
Yeah. Because I'm not finding anything on the ground. But I
mean, it's the most we got to go on, but even if it is, then what? None of us can fly, so it's not like we can shoot up into the air and have a look, is it?
I don't know. Talus, is that something?
I might be able to adjust myself.
I do that regularly. It doesn't help me fly.
You have the
We're
ability to change
working.
as well?
But I mean,
Don't
yeah.
Talus.
It's important to know these things so that
This
I
is not
can
one of
function
this-
as part of the group.
This
Robot
is
lady's asking to know more skills.
Robot Lady probably doesn't want to know about any of.
Is it
Those-
important that I ask this later, maybe not part of this current situation?
It's
Yep.
yes.
Understand. I will store it for later and ask again. Rob, one of my moves is a mind of their own where my powers can evolve and mutate if I'm facing an obstacle or threat that I wouldn't be able to deal with initially.
So theoretically, if you were in to do battle with some kind of flying creature that you couldn't reach, then maybe you could use that move to be like, okay, activate jetpack that we never saw before.
Go gadget.
Go get
Done.
it.
So I'm not really in enough peril to kind of break that out.
I mean, if you wanted to now, then maybe.
Maybe there's a better
You
way.
can mark a condition to gain brand new abilities adapted to the situation. So you would have to mark a condition.
Hmm.
So it is your choice if you want to do it.
Hmm.
And
Maybe-
it does
maybe it's a
say
last-ditch
you lose
effort.
new powers once the danger is gone.
Yeah. Then there's no real danger, really.
Not at this moment in time.
Okay.
unless you can create one.
It doesn't appear to work right now. I don't think flying will solve this initially. What items do we have on hand, and how do they form a web of information?
Let's go to the library and see what books he looks at, apart from Harry Potter. Maybe he's been looking at books on like mysterious flying threats from the ether. I don't know. Or we can go to Subway, whatever. How many points he got on his card?
I don't know how many points they have on his card. Is it like one of those
It's a
little
little stamp one.
stamps?
It probably is one of the stamp ones. They didn't really have the proper points cards, did they, back in 2003?
How many
I'm gonna
stamps
say
is
it's got
he short?
4 out of 8.
Oh, not enough for a free sandwich, never mind.
Not enough
I
for
get some
free
hash
sandwich.
browns.
Or we can
I
go to
guess we
Blockbuster and
can-
see what movies he looks at.
So, let's go and have a look elsewhere. So we know that this thing appeared from nowhere and disappeared as well. So either dropped from the sky, or could it teleport in? But first, the
Awesome.
library.
Rob, how involved do the police get in super unusual, like superhero-y, supervillainy affairs?
Are they going to
Kind of.
ask us for the bag of stuff back?
They are very much, you are the heroes. So in these situations, it's kind of like trying to get a doctor to do a vet's job.
All right.
Same theories, but very different executions.
So we do have a bit of jurisdiction, sort of.
Yeah, you've got the jurisdiction because they will look at certain situations in a different way than you will look at them.
All right. Oi, Manta Ray, give me the bead thing for a sec.
Answer?
Stingray, come on. Thank you. I'm going to go over to the police and show him the symbol and go, Oi, you ever seen that before?
He looks at it a bit. He goes, it's a weird triangle.
Thank you. I was looking for you to tell me the stuff I already knew. However, the question I asked was, have you seen it before?
No. And that in itself kind of tells you a little bit. It tells you it's not a very well recognized symbol in the town. It's not
Not like a gang
Incorrect.
sign
It
or
doesn't
something.
tell me anything. I'm going to go back to the people with brains, drop it back in Spandex's hand and go, police have never seen it before. So, all right.
cool.
May I see it closer?
No. Oh, right. Sure.
Yes.
Oh, is that a joke?
Yeah.
Ha ha!
Go on, have a look.
I do enjoy our interactions.
What do your robot eyes see?
Do most animals have bones for ears? That's not something I recognize from the biology.
Oh, no, not the biology. I was never good at the biology.
This is artistic liberty, then.
All right. I guess so. Gotta be honest. Don't see a lot of dead birds hanging around.
You're going to give me like a mundane roll.
Oh no, that's
Sharp.
no, it's my worst roll.
Actually, give me a superior roll, because this is kind of
Okay.
like, in my head, you'll go through like data banks of
Yeah.
various animals that you've seen before.
Googling it.
Yeah, what does my Wikipedia say? Here we go.
We do a lot of superior rolls in this game so far.
It's a 6. I'm
Oh,
getting
no.
nowhere with these dice. I'm
Yeah, so
using other
you
dice
go
now.
like what is it? The great horned owl. No,
Mhm.
wait, the great eared owl. Great horned owl. Great horned owl is a thing. It doesn't look like this though. There's like little feathers.
And you just hear
They're not
whirring and
horns.
whirring as like their eyes just glaze over.
Dial up
Great horned
noise.
owl, also known as the tiger owl or the hoot owl, is a large owl native to the Americas. And for a few moments, Talus is right out of it, and you can't get their attention.
Oi, I think our robot is blue screened.
Do you want to have a look at it, Dryad?
I guess.
Should I ask a tree if it's ever seen a bird with a head like that?
I could.
I'm gonna try and scoot Talus back towards the car so we can head to the library. And you can, like, does she move if you give her a gentle shove, or
No.
is she
I think like their feet are literally like firm in the ground. I think they probably could move, but they're also, as you try to move them, you realise
an
they
absolute
are an
unit?
android. Yeah.
It's a lot of metal there. And you can hear the whirring as well when you're that close.
I'm going to bust
The
out my
whirring.
electrodynamic control and just kind of like lift her slightly and just like hover her.
Are you
back
like
Magneto
towards-
in the
Are you
house.
magneting? Like fucking.
Oh
magnets,
no,
how do
you're
they
gonna
work?
wipe its memory. Don't put magnets near the robot.
Give me a freak roll, please. The electric ray.
Please don't mess this up.
Oh no, this is fine. This is fine. That's an 11.
Okay, yeah. So you use your strange electric powers, and you'll see Talus slightly levitate from the ground as the geomagnetic pull reverses slightly in their direction. And
Well, look at you
they're
making it
effectively
sound like we know
levitating.
what my powers do.
I I just have to say long fancy word and hope that people don't question me too much. But yeah, so you can move Talus around for the few minutes until they come properly back online.
Soft locked myself.
Where do you like to go next, kids?
Head to the library, I guess.
Alrighty, get back into the van with Billy, I assume.
Yes.
Yep. Whose face is on the diddle-a-diddle-a-diddle?
Probably the blue screening face of Talus.
I like it.
They'll be been rebooted by the time you get to the library.
Cool. You get to the library. It's relatively in the middle of town, to the point where Billy has to park up around the back in a parking garage, and then you go through a small shopping mall. But the library itself and the subway are in like an outside, not food court area, but general store with paths rather than roads, like a square. And sorry, go ahead.
Is it kind of like a bit where we could probably have a look and see if there was like a Blockbuster or anything close by as well, and possibly some people check that out? And
there's the Blockbuster you all know is probably like on a few roads away, like maybe 5 minutes.
okay, fair enough. Cool,
But
just head to the
it's
library
not like right, like compared to the library and the subway being right opposite one another.
Yeah, it's like further down the high street kind of idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Look
So
at
you
some
want to go to the library
books.
first?
Yeah.
Yep.
Book time.
Cool. You go into the library.
Just gonna march on up to the front desk.
Yeah, so it is quite a large building. It's a very wide building. It goes on for a while. A lot of it is just glass windows up into the entrance. You go in, there's a little foyer. As you look in front of you, it's obviously the exit that you come out through. And then to the right is the desk, and it has like the actual library desk with the returns box and an old computer sitting. Well, a modern day computer for 2003, but an old computer by our standards. And there is maybe a girl in her early 20s typing on the computer, long blonde hair with a pair of glasses, looks up at you. has a little name tag that says Emily. As you're coming in, she's a little bit taken aback because I assume you're all still in like superhero outfit.
Yup.
Oh yeah.
And so she's taken back a bit. You can see a couple more people milling around the library. Some of them kind of stop and have a look. And she very quickly like straightens her back, looks up at she says, "Oh, hello."
Good morning, Emily. We're looking to see if you can help us today. We need to get records of what this gentleman, kind of slide the sort of library card across, had been removing from the library. It's for a current investigation.
She nods entirely, and she's just like a bit flustered. A bit nervous, and she looks at the card. You give the library card.
Yeah. No, the subway
the subway
card.
And the movie Die Hard with the blockbuster.
She looks down for a moment. She's a little bit. Her brow furrows, and then her face drops, and she looks back up at you, and she goes like, "Is something wrong with Stanley?"
Yeah,
I'm
man, he's
sorry,
dead.
but we can't give out information about ongoing cases.
So,
Do you know Stanley?
I think she looks at Trickster, and unless Kelly says like I didn't say it, then but, yeah.
Oh, you said it.
He's what?
What?
There has been a complication, and we need to find out as much as possible.
Oh, do you know him?
She looks down. She's kind of at this point. She's grabbed the library card in both hands, and it's very obvious as she looks down that she has like a little tear, and she kind of croaks out. It didn't turn up to work, but I didn't. And at this point, a man steps out from one of the bookshelves, and it's quite tall, and again maybe late 20s, early 30s, short brown hair. He comes around the counter. He's got a little name tag that says Benjamin. He sees what's going on. He's like, "Emily, are you okay? Sorry. So what's going on here?" As Emily slowly cries into the library card.
Now I feel bad.
The look that you get, Trickstar is just like,
Those are strong human emotions. Do you need comforting?
Is it possibly best that we don't have this conversation?
It is important to feel
Emily kind of like
Yeah.
I
At the
think
front desk.
She's trying to nod, but she's also a little bit overwhelmed. And Benjamin is just looking at it. Emily looking at you like.
She nodded. That's
Look,
enough. She
look.
nodded. It's enough. Talus starts to make their way like
Yeah.
around the desk
let's-
with like arms out.
Tell you what,
Okay.
Spandex, chat to Big B here. Emily, I think your name was. Yeah, come with us. We'll go sort you out somewhere else. Let's not be here. Come on, follow the weird robot person.
Benjamin looks at Emily as she's guided out of her work chair and taken. I think Emily points you to a certain area, which, as you get there, it looks like an employee lounge, like some lockers and bits and pieces like that. A couple of chairs, a table, and the barest essentials that a kitchen could provide in a workspace. So it's got a microwave. Whilst the Dryad, unless the Dryad goes with tea.
The Dryad's kind of looking at Electric Ray going, "Do I do?"
But Benjamin's standing there like, "What the fuck is going on?" Who's good? Okay. What's happening?
If he's now got Benjamin, he's going to ask if they can have the records of what Stanley had been checking out from the library. And then he'll also sort of casually ask, so did Stanley work here?
Yes, Stanley. He works here. Has done for the last 3 months or so. If you want his book that he's taking out, I mean, he took out a couple of the Harry Potter books that came in recently. That's about it. He seems to really enjoy the Harry Potter books, but he's not been taking out much. He kind of looked at the Animorph books as they came in and was mildly interested by them, but he hasn't taken them out yet.
Were there any that he'd been particularly drawn to? I know this seems like a lot of odd questions, but
that's the Harry Potter books. Gotta say, that's like they came in the other day. It
was just because you'd said
now.
He'd been interested in some of the animal books. I was just wondering. If
the Animorphs books.
Oh, the Animorphs books. Oh,
everyone remembers Animorphs, right?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I thought you said animals, Rob. That's
I
I was like.
understand why you take the animals considering the owl and maybe think that there's a link. However, I did say Animorphs.
Even better.
Because that's a very awkward phrase to get across.
Okay. Ignore that then.
That's fine.
Did Stanley ever have any issues? Did he ever seem stressed or worried at work?
I mean, nothing that comes to mind. He was late a couple of times recently, but I'm pretty sure that's just because he was waiting in line too long at the subway. And I mean, me and him didn't really get along too well. Like Emily got along with him a bit more than I did. But me and him is, strictly at work. People never really. We weren't the type to go and get a drink with. You know what I mean?
Understood.
And he kind of nods a little bit. Say, I don't know what's going on with Emily, but if you want to see if you want to talk to her, then cool. If you could tell me what's actually happening, that would be great. But I can cover her for a minute whilst you chat to her. And either way.
Yeah, I'll go catch up with the team and see if we can get some more information. Thank you for your assistance.
No
and you're
problem.
kind of like.
He takes the chair where Emily sat a minute ago and looks over at the computer and looks a little bit confused about whatever Emily was doing before and starts doing something else. So what do you two do? You two, the Dryad and the Electric Ray particularly, and then we'll move over to what Trickster and Alice are talking about.
Just gonna head over towards where they've taken Emily after this point. Yeah.
And the Dryad.
She might kind of look around the library a little, just to see if there's anything that might kind of stand out as a bit unusual about a library.
Okay, cool. We'll switch over. So before the Electric Ray turns up, by this time the Trickster and Talus probably had a decent conversation with poor little old Emily here, who is now sobbing her eyes out.
There. It's important to feel your emotions.
Oh, no.
Pat
There's
on the
a
shoulder.
very particular comfort or support skill in this role in this game. So roll me a mundane.
Oh, I thought that was the savior one. Damn.
No. Saviors if you
no.
actively defend somebody.
I feel like I took. Yes, here we go. Thermodynamic miracle. When you comfort or support someone by telling them what makes them unique, roll
Okay.
plus freak instead of mundane.
So,
If they open up to you, then I can shift freak up and mundane down. Ooh, fun times.
okay.
If telling them that they should feel emotions I can continue.
I don't think, continue, because I don't think, I think everyone could feel emotions. It doesn't make them unique. So potentially,
Might need to find out more about her first.
yeah.
Yeah, your friendship with Stan Lee is what makes you important in our investigation, and we must learn everything we can to help bring Stan Lee to justice and help.
Right,
there.
Give me a roll with
There.
What was that, Rob?
It's for
Here, there.
Talus to roll the comfort or support with freak instead of mundane.
I'm still gonna fail this, no doubt. I'll roll some other dice this time. Let's see. Come on. I hate everything.
Oh no.
That's still a 6. It's still a 6. I rolled a 3 and a 1. Plus 2.
Oh, no. Oh dear.
Not a good
Okay,
robot. Not a good robot. What? Catch me leveling up this session.
You try really hard, and I think it's not so much Talus that realizes, but it is Trickster. That this poor Everly girl is just found out that her co-worker and potentially her friend is dead, and the robot, whilst trying to help her, is doing nothing but like, you're important in our investigation for your dead friend. You're very important, so we could find out what happened to your dead friend. And so she's it's not doing too well.
Yeah, Rick's gonna notice this, and he's just
And
gonna sort of.
she starts bawling a little bit louder, and you get the feeling that for a while you're not going to be able to get much out of her until she calms down. But you are in a room with
Wait,
a couple of lockers.
Rob,
Okay, go on.
because Rick's gonna come in, sit down, unzip, hood off, hands onto her shoulders, and goes, "Okay, look, I know this is really shit, but someone has done some really unpleasant stuff that has made you lose a friend. Let's not be sad. Let's be fucking angry and find out who did this. And I'm going to use emotional control on her."
This is fine. Please. And
Gonna make her
powers,
angry.
roll a freak.
Okie dokie. No. You don't want to know.
Oh no, what was it?
Oh my god.
That would be Snake Eyes.
Now she's angry at us. Congrats.
I also just double roll some extra dice to see what I'm rolling. I've not rolled above a 3. I've rolled a lot. No, carry on. Oh jeez.
In fairness, my powers are described as messy, so that's what we're about to get.
Okay.
We've goofed this.
That's another tick on my "you done fucked up" sheet.
Let's race to see who levels up first.
Okay. So far we've had very soft, hard moves. When people have rolled 6s, most of you still managed to accomplish what you wanted, despite bystanders becoming a bit more worried about the competence of the Silver Bullet Bureau and how strong their AI person is, and if that's a concern for the city or not. But they've been relatively soft moves, so this is going to be more of a hard move. And when you go to use your powers, you realise they don't work. Like, it's not so much they haven't worked on her, or you've not made her any angrier. They just fizzle out. That's not happened to you before.
Oh no, performance issues. This has happened to me before. I'm gonna have that awkward moment of I'm now just sat in front of her with my hands on her shoulders,
And
I'm just gonna drop my hands and be like, "I've tried."
I'll try.
With that in mind, the Dryad.
Comes in with me holding this woman.
Talus behind going, there.
You're looking rather lively. So this is going to be a question that you can kind of make up. How do you feel around books?
It's dead trees everywhere.
The screens are damned.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I don't know how you.
What are your thoughts on the ethics
you
of
can have it
paper?
like, no, it's all fine, or
I think
if they still do like little creepy whispers at you,
Ooh.
or
Oh no! Oh
Oh,
no!
that's cursed.
That's cursed. But that's
Help me! I used to be an
amazing.
essential part of the Amazon. No.
I think in theory they would be fine, but they're probably not really. They try and avoid crowded areas, so she's probably not really come across a library as such before.
Okay. This is fine.
It's probably not going to be the greatest if they start whispering, but I know you too well, Rob. I know you too
No, it's
well.
fine. In that case, you don't hear anything. There's no creepy whispering or anything like that. You're just looking around the books, and that's fine. We'll leave that there for a moment. Go back to it in the room as the electric ray comes in to see Emily now bawling her eyes out with a slightly concerned-looking Trickster and Talus looking like Talus.
No.
So you're not going to get too much out of Emily for a little while, but as I said, there are still the lockers in the room and the microwave if you want to use the microwave for anything. I don't think you do, but it's there. I've just pointed it out that it does still exist. I haven't
Thanks.
suddenly made it disappear.
We could put her in the microwave. That'd make her talk.
I mean,
I don't
microwaves don't
think
work
she would.
unless it's closed, and it's not that big of a microwave.
I've seen that episode of Mythbusters. It doesn't work. Do the lockers have names on them, or?
Yeah, I think one of them's got Benjamin's name. One of them has Emily's name. The other one doesn't have any name. And there's a couple more which have other people's names that aren't Stanley.
Okay.
Stanley's only been working there for a few months. He's not.
I'm gonna
crossed
try
the
and
latest one
open
yet.
Stanley's locker then.
Cool.
Is it locked? Do you need help?
Has
It is.
flashbacks to the car. No, I
Let me roll again.
I think I've got it. Is it like those lockers that you get in absolutely every workplace where it's like the little crappy keys and it's like a little lever?
Yeah, like the key's probably still in the locker. It's that
Yeah.
kind of. Nobody really cares too much. You don't keep
No.
your private stuff in you. Everyone knows you're meant to take your phone out and put it in your locker, but everyone keeps it in their pocket on the shop floor anyway.
So yeah, I'll open
yeah.
up and have a wee nosy.
Yeah, you open it up and not too much in there.
The shrine to the evil. Oh god, yeah.
There is a couple of like a little notepad which has a couple of pages torn off. Like you can see where the pages were still slightly connected and have been torn. And there's like a thing of fish food that he might have bought one day to take home to his fish.
Oh no, his fish will die.
Like little bits and pieces and personal effects that are the kind of stuff, like a couple more receipts, just stuff
Yeah.
you'd throw into your locker because it was in your pocket, but nothing particular. But the only things that you would notice would be that notepad with the couple of pages taken off the top.
I'll have a sort of thumb through the notepad and see if there's anything that's kind of catching the eye, or if it looks like the important stuff's being kind of removed, if that makes sense. If it looks
does
like
kind
it's got
Yeah,
stuff
you get
missing.
the feeling of like important stuff removed just looking at it.
Right. Emily, was there any like tissues or anything in the locker that I can like take
Yeah,
a few
some
and
tissues in it.
yeah, just like pop a few and just kind of like hand those over to her and kind of pull up a seat beside. We're really sorry to have to come to you with this bad news, Emily, but we need you to do your best to try and help us find out what happens to Stanley, so that if something untoward was going on, that we can make sure that it doesn't happen to anyone else. You understand, right?
Give me a mundane roll, please. I should try to
Oh, great. I am amazing at those.
Why do you think I took a skill that changed mine?
Though it's okay if you roll nice. So that's a 10.
Okay. So she very slowly calms down, and so on a hit, they hear you. They mark potential, clear a condition, or shift labels if they open up to you. And I think they're probably going to clear a condition, and this condition is just being outrageously upset. So that's something. On a 10 plus, you can also add a team to the pool or clear a condition yourself. You currently have one team in the pool. That is a thing that comes in later. We don't have to worry about it too much now.
Cool.
But everyone in chat could also remember that the next time you mention a team pool, there's one in it already.
Cool.
Because you don't currently have a condition on you to take away.
So yeah,
Cool.
we'll kind of pass over the tissues.
Yeah, so she starts to calm down, and she's going to answer your questions as soon as we find out what the Dryad's up to. The Dryad. What are you up to?
Dryad is taking a little turn around the library, trying to
At the library, you kind of, as soon as you come out from the desk, there's like a little children's tiny play area with a bunch of children's books, and it goes through the ages, young adult books, a little Harry Potter stand where these new books have come in, and it looks like it's like a second-hand Harry Potter stand. Like somebody's donated this because their kid really liked Harry Potter. And it's kept all these books on. One of them is missing, which is The Prisoner of Azkaban. And next is the slightly more educational books for kids. And it goes on. There's like this one pillar in the middle of the room with some the fiction books and the true crime books. And it goes around like a corner. And then it's like the biographies, the sciencey books, and so on and so forth. Towards the back, there's the more niche ones where it's all these books on knitting, and all these books on coding, and etc. etc.
Okay. Because they had mentioned that there was a Harry Potter book involved, you might kind of like go over to like the Harry Potter books and kind of see that, because I don't think the specific one was actually mentioned out loud, so therefore they don't actually know which one it was, but they can probably surmise. But they're probably going to go over to where the Harry Potter stand is and kind of have a little like pick up of the book, have a little look, see if there's anything weird about any of them, see if there's a symbol of anything on like the books.
Yeah. Okay. Give me a superior roll, please.
Superior. That is a 7, because we don't have any pluses on that one.
Okay.
Still take it.
Yeah, so you can go with what here can I use to blank? What here is the biggest threat? What here is what here is in the greatest danger? Who here is the most vulnerable to me? And how could we best end this quickly?
I'm gonna go for what can I use to she's gonna try and look for like I think she's gonna try and look kind of on the book, so like maybe have a look flick through and see if like there's the symbol of like the little bird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that will come under.
Okay. So you're focusing more on this symbol than anything else.
Yeah. Specifically around the Harry Potter books, because obviously he's probably been reading through them. She doesn't know which book he's up to necessarily.
Okay. So you flick through the Harry Potter book and you get nowhere. The most you get is that there's a picture of Hedwig that looks vaguely like the owl skull for a moment. When you're flicking through it, that you pause for a moment and go, hang on, no, wait. And so that's fine. But then you look around the library, you kind of dejectedly put down the Harry Potter book, and you look over to your right where it's the more kind of young adult section, and there's a comic book sitting there, and it's one that you know because your pal Alan Smith, the Electric Ray, has probably shown you a copy before, because he himself is on the cover, but only in a little section, because the big main characters of the front cover are Captain Grey Arrow, which was Alan's hero, the big kind of Arrow-esque sharpshooter Hawkeye of this fake world that we've created. Marvel, don't sue us. Professor Quick Defender, who throws up various force fields. They team up fairly often, you remember. And the Incredible Frog, which is a giant frog that was a child sidekick turned hero that doesn't approve of showboating, which was originally the Frog Wander. And it's Luke. Was the Frog Wander when you were with them, or were they the Incredible Frog at this point?
No, they were both like kid sidekicks at the same time. So while he was Butter Nipper, the Incredible Frog was still known as the Frog Wonder.
Okay, the Frog Wonder. What was your name?
He hasn't actually changed his name.
Okay, so it was. I thought you said like it was Fluffernutter or something. I was very confused.
No, I don't want to bring down that lawsuit on our heads.
Oh no. So it is the Frog Wonder, and you could have like noticed a little bit that if you squinted a bit, that on like the Frog Wonder, like a little amulet around this frog's neck attached to.
No, not the Frog Wonder.
Is like a frog that's scratched in like this green, and it's kind of like the same scratches as the owl skull. That's something.
Not like this.
The Electric Ray might know something more about if you talk to
kind
him
of
about
picks up the comic and kind of like just like
Did Diane read? Like, has she encountered a comic book before?
rude.
That's a Tanis move.
It's more looking at the picture and going, is that what I think it is? It looks very similar. And then like it's flicking through it to see if there's any like more detailed pictures. But it's kind of like, I guess I'll ask Electric Ray when he comes back from where was that?
Cool.
Yeah.
Go back to the. Are you staying outside then?
Mhm.
Or are you staying
Away
in
from
the library?
people.
Away from people. Okay, that's fine.
Libraries are quiet.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that kind of come by, and they like. I think a small child comes over to look at the kids' books, looks up at you, backs away a little bit. Yeah, so you're trying to keep away from people, and people are appropriately trying to keep away from you. Let's go back to Emily, Talus, Trickster, and the Electric Ray. So she calms down a bit, and she looks at all three of you. She's like, "I'm so sorry. You're trying to help, and I just." And she like grimaces as she looks back down at the library card and kind of just gives it back to electric ray a bit shakily. I don't know what I can do to what happened.
That's what we're trying to piece together just now. Did Stanley seem particularly worried or concerned about anything recently?
He was a little bit nervous over the last week, but like he seemed a little bit off, but like flustered rather than like not worried but flustered.
What did he do before he worked here?
He's not long out of school. I think he just kind of bummed around for a couple of years, and then he's finally been made to find his own place and get his own job.
Did he ever tell you why he was feeling different for the last week? Something big, an event coming up?
Not that I know of. And she kind of raises her hand to her mouth and bites her fingernails a bit. You can kind of see the cogs whirring in her head as she's trying to work out something to give to you.
I'll take the bead out from the bag and kind of hand it across and say, does this seem familiar to you at all?
She looks at it and she shakes her head a couple of times and then properly shakes her head. Like at first she's trying to recollect anything that might help, but nothing's coming to mind. Trickster, what are you up to as they have this?
So he's gonna stay there for a little bit, realise that he's got no idea what to ask her, and trying to get through to her hasn't worked, and he's a bit pissed off about that. He's gonna leave the room, go back out into the library.
As you kind of come back out, to the left is where you came. To the right is like an art gallery kind of thing. With kind of local community artwork.
That's
Specializing in creepy bird skulls.
Do I do what I wanted to do, or shall I follow the DM's not so subtle hint?
You can do either.
Can I do both?
Sure. What did you want to do?
Okay. So I will go look around the art gallery because I don't want to be in a room with a crying lady after telling her mate's just died because I'm an awful person. But what I do want to do is, I'm assuming because superheroes are kind of a big thing in this world, there are also books that like tell you about past superheroes that have existed.
Yeah. Like as we've kind of established with the Dryad, there's a comic book about
Legit.
some of the actual heroes in the world. Very much like your Future's End has Future's End comics.
I want to find something on how Sunflare Thomas Mason died, because he also died in a car crash. And it was never assigned to anyone or anything. So I want to see if there was ever any note of there were weird claw marks around this car and ting.
Yeah.
Him being I don't know what his position was within the Silver Bullet Bureau, but I know he was a member.
Yeah.
And quite a famous one.
Yeah, you nip through. You spot Dryad on your way out, who's flicking through a comic book at the time, I assume.
Slacking.
And unless they stop you at any point, you slowly go through it, and it's very much in the niche section towards the back and around the corner. And you go through the various books. Eventually you kind of come across like History of Heroes, and it's like History of Heroes Volume 1, which looks like the oldest one and is going from heroes from the 1920s, and then Volume 2, etc. So you try to flick through a couple of like volume 10 and 11 trying to, they're not alphabetical order, they're in like a timeline order, so you
Yep.
recalling 2001, so maybe it's the later one, Sunflare, Thomas Mason, and yeah, so you do get a rough idea of what happened. It was a car crash, it is considered accidental, and it is very similar to poor old Stanley, but it wasn't linked to any known villains or any kind of criminals in the city at the time. It is it wasn't, no one knows for certain, but there is like a little note that does mention that there might have been some claw marks around the car.
Bum bum bum.
I look at that. I look up into the invisible camera that he always imagines is watching him on his adventures and goes, knew it. Closes it, puts it back. And then for some reason he thinks, you know what, I'm gonna have a look around that art gallery. Don't know why. Never actually knew it was there till very recently. But hey, maybe there's a squirrel with a clue. Off I
I like
go.
to think that you didn't know it was there because, you know, you were busy hurrying someone into a staff room.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
But in the movie sort of mind theatre that is his head, to him it was just always out of focus in the background as he walked in. And only now that it's become relevant to plot has it pulled focus and shown him this art gallery, and he's gone, what do you think, audience? And off.
He's just got that new reality show, Big Brother, just playing through his head, going, "Oh, that's what it's like to be on camera. That's
Yep.
cool."
Cool.
So yeah, he's going to go look at some local artwork, which is going to be mediocre in style but overpriced in currency.
Yeah, and at this point,
Oh,
Benjamin
look,
is.
another landscape.
You pass the Dryad again. You pass Benjamin, who's come out of the desk and he's putting some books on a shelf. Go past the room where Emily is just talking to Talos and the electric ray. And you go into the gallery, but let's go back to their conversation for a bit.
All right, I'm going to sit and study A Still Life by Glynis, age 67, local hero.
Okay, and Emily looks back up at two of you and says, I don't know what else to say. I wish I could be more help to you. If there's anything I can do, I'm happy to.
I've just kind of got one last question. And you'll kind of pick up the notebook that he'd found and think, do you know why the first few pages on this are missing? Did he use it often?
He was trying to write something, but he kept like kind of scribbling it out and redoing it.
Did he have any particular interest or something? Anything that?
I mean, he was getting to read more books. He said he quite liked football, but there's, nothing. He was a bit of a nervous one. Kelly flicks.
Talos taps Electric Ray on the shoulder a couple of times.
Yeah, Talos?
May I have the notebook? I read something that might work.
Of course. And you'll kind of hand it up.
Is there like a pot of pencils in the staff room in here?
Ah,
Yeah.
clever.
I'd like to very gently take a graphite pencil and rub it over the top of
okay.
the notebook to see if he was using a biro, it would have like pressed into the next page a bit.
Yeah.
And if I can discern like what was written, like
If it's fanfic, I'll be so happy.
And then Sonic.
I don't know how much fanfic Talos has read.
I don't think
But-
that's been input. Yeah.
No.
But if
Um,
she's
should
uplinked to
be.
the internet, then
How
it's
do you
only a
like
matter
that?
of time.
I think it's only what the scientists have put in them so far, or scientist-approved Wikipedia pages.
Scientist approved fan fiction.
Um, and so it's not fan fiction. It is vaguely romantic, with the idea that it is somebody kind of writing down something they want to say, and you get the feeling that maybe Stanley was trying to pluck up the courage to ask our good pal Fiona out on some kind
Crying.
of date. And yeah, you get that. You get. I'm not going to go the exact words. But you get the feeling that this is. He crossed out kind of how he's going to start and ask her to lunch, and he's kind of like rehearsing it by putting pen to paper.
Yeah. Talus taps Electric Ray's shoulder again.
Yeah, Talus?
I've deciphered it if you wish to read it.
Yeah, does it look like it would be important to the investigation?
No. But it might be important to somebody else. And they hand it over because they're like, this is very human, and I'm unsure of what to do with it.
So we'll give it to Teenage Boy because he is very good at humaning. So yeah,
The other human in the room cried a lot when Talus last talked to us.
I mean, valid. One of us here has to deal with it. The other doesn't necessarily. So yeah, he'll kind of read it over, like awkwardly, as he starts to pick up the gist of quite where this train of thought is going, and just kind of like before even finishing it, just kind of like closes it back over and goes, I don't think this is meant for us, and he'll like just tuck it back into the locker.
Very well. And actually, as Talus finishes this, Talus will go put it back in the locker, and we'll go and get a glass of water for the girl as well,
Okay.
because that's good for comforting, I think. It's what the school nurse did every time I hurt myself.
Dry
Glass
up.
of water.
What are you
Paper
up to?
towel, you're sorted. Yeah, he's just gonna probably check in again with Emily. I spoke to Benjamin out in front. He said it was mostly just Harry Potter and some of the Animorphs books that he was starting to like look at. Was there anything else? I know you said he was starting to branch out a little bit more. We're obviously a bit closer.
Yeah, there were a few books came in that he was interested in. There was I think someone was having a clear out.
Would you be able to
donate a
point
bunch of
them out
books
to
that-
us?
The books I can give you. We've started writing up all of the donations onto a document on the computer, so you can have a look at the list.
Of course. Could you point out the ones that he seemed particularly interested in?
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you so much.
So with that, we're going to switch to the Dryad real quick. What are you up to?
She was looking at the comic and essentially probably went back towards like the more kind of educational type books. See if there's anything again that kind of pops out as like being really promoted. For example, like you know how like in libraries you normally have like books that are like read this because it's our one of the month or something like that. If there's anything like
Okay,
particularly
the
recommendations.
librarian's recommendations shelf.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you go around and it is kind of on the back of a pillar that is adjacent to a bunch of tapes, like the audiobook tapes and stuff like that, and the CDs that are slowly taking over the tapes. I can just hear Kelly rolling dice from here.
Trying to find ones that don't hate me, and it's taking a while.
Oh, no.
Now you know how I usually
I've
feel.
just heard it and I've been like, what is that noise for like the last 10 minutes? And it's just clocking now what it is.
Sorry. Oh,
I
roll
feel that.
quieter.
And yeah, so there's a few books on there. Let's just it's completed works of Shakespeare, Charles Dickens. There's a copy of The Hobbit, recommended by Benjamin. Copy of what are older books? Gosh, I should know older books. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, recommended by Emily. Jekyll and Hyde, recommended by James. Just books, some pretty
Is
classic
there anything
books.
recommended by Stanley?
Yeah, we'll say it's. Let's try to think.
Sorry, Rob.
Books. That thing that I did a degree on. No, I can't remember book titles. Go with like Artemis Fowl.
Oh, Skullduggery Pleasant, I think, was a series name.
Yeah.
Artemis Fowl definitely was.
Oh, the Golden Compass. The Golden Compass is a good one. Although it was called something different, it was called the Northern Lights. It wouldn't be called the Golden
What's the
Compass.
second one?
Apparently, Curious Incident of a Dog in the Nighttime was a very popular book in 2003.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Makes sense.
As was the Da Vinci Code. And He
Yeah, the
Shoots
Da
the
Vinci
Leaves.
Code is on there. He Shoots the Leaves is also on there.
Time Traveler's Wife was also.
Thank you, Kelly. That's all we need.
That's like...
Would you like more?
There. But yeah, so those kind of books are on there.
Okay. So nothing particularly
Nothing
unusual.
particularly that stands out to you.
Okay.
There's one thing that stands out to you though, is potentially turn around to go meet up with your allies. And I'll tell you what it is after we go back to the Trickster for a while.
Da-la-da-la-da.
So the Trickster, you
Just-
are looking at some nice artwork.
I feel like it's that Ferris Bueller still, where they're all just like staring. Pointillism.
There's this piece of artwork, and it's somebody's done like a nice heart that's gradiated from peach to white with all these little cut out butterflies. It's quite artistic, quite nice. Somebody's painted a Pokemon. It's very obvious that they're like 12, but they've put it up anyway because it's part of the community and all of this. And there's that kind of thing. There's a few sections which are different artists and different kind of. Somebody's made like these sea shell sculpture kind of things that are okay, and somebody's made like an image out of only using feathers. And as you kind of go on, you get to like a little section, and it's just like a little kind of canvas painting alongside some others, and it's they're kind of weird comparatively to the other paintings because they're a little bit more grim. You can give me a superiority.
Oh. Don't let me down, dice. Oh, that's pretty damn good.
There
And where's my superior?
we go. Yeah.
14.
I
5,
actually
6,
get to
and a
ask
+3.
2 questions. What here can I use to blank? What here is the biggest threat? What here is in the greatest danger? And who here is the most vulnerable to me? And how could we best end this quickly?
Okay. So this is me assessing, is it?
Yeah.
What here can I use to find to find out who killed Stanley?
Okay.
That'll be my first one. And then my next one will be what here is in the greatest danger?
Okay. Cool. I'm going to answer the first one first. So as you look at these rather grim paintings, you see one that is like a skull that is bleeding blue blood out of its eye sockets, and it's very strange.
I think I've got that in my living room.
Nice. One of them is like this big long snake that kind of switches whenever it coils. It seems to turn to like bone for a section and back to the normal snake. And that's kind of strange. Then the last one is what looks like a moon with a very large owl, talons down, ready to pounce on you. And
An owl, you say?
an owl. So when you think of what could I use here to find out how Stanley died and what killed Stanley, you look at that owl. And that owl kind of, it weirdly speaks to you with the fact that this particular owl has two protrusions, just where like a pair of horns.
Devil owl.
And you look down at who painted the picture, which will answer your second question. And I'm going to answer your second question as the Electric Ray and Talus and Fiona come out of the room, where Fiona's going to show you the books list. And the Dryad turns around and notices what she notices as Trickstar reads Benjamin's name, as Benjamin Huffman is no longer in the library. And that's where we'll end today's session of Masks.
Dun dun dun
Pick
dun.
it
dun.
up next week.
Finding all the clues, catching none of the hints. He's at least logical enough to
Hardcore
know.
guitar solo riffs.
Literally goes, this is a clue. I'll go give this to someone who can use this.
Look at what I found.
Cool.
Awesome.
Owl.
Owl,
A pointy owl.
an owl and a
Who
librarian.
did it?
I'm so glad that my reading the background actually became relevant. I was like, oh, if I look into this other guy that died and find out that it's absolutely unrelated, I'll be really sad. Thought I found a thing, and I did.
Well done.
So, Kelly, very much in the same vein as I've told you a lot. If you do anything, I'll make it relevant. So, it could not have been relevant, but it became relevant when you investigate it, because I'll make it work. Same with the squirrel. The squirrel was not there before this session.
Don't ruin my dreams, Rob.
We chose to believe that squirrels are plants from the very beginning.
I mean, I wish I was that intelligent. That would be great.
We were just gonna live imagining that you were, but
Yeah, I know, but I need that level of humility and modesty. So when I do really bring out the genius later on, oh, it's going to be good.
Wow.
Need you to underestimate me. For later.
Now got to remember all this for next week. Who's been making notes?
I
Mel.
have.
I'm not going to lie. All of my notes have been various names that I can use for the electric ray. That's everything I have.
Legit.
A good list.
So, hello, folks who have stuck with us throughout. Thank you for being involved. Even if it's just watching, commenting. I didn't get any hecklers, which is great. Dave left like a while ago.
I mean, we did get 2 spammers, so you know.
We did get 2
Yeah,
spammers
and a small child.
and a small child. So that was. But I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you stuck through it, join us again next week for hopefully the finale of this one shot. I don't know why I expected it to only take 1 week. It was always going to be 2 weeks. I just hadn't admitted it to myself yet.
You've met us. You know us as well, Rob.
Yeah. Join the Discord if you haven't already. Get updated. Join Facebook. Back our Patreon. Please give us money so we can keep giving you 5th edition and other tabletop goodies. It just means that we use that money to put back into heavyweight gaming to buy art to make things look even prettier to entertain you all with. And thank you very much. Thank you, players. Say goodbye, players. AD, I hope you're there. To,
Bye, players.
Otherwise, it's
No,
really
he's not
awkward.
here. We've just got to sit here for the next 5 minutes. Like, so